All these places where like you could go practice and like nobody would mess with you, and it was like a safe haven for like us as kids. I felt like graffiti in a sense kind of saved my life because it kept me off the streets. Art saved my life, and I feel like showing people that it can save yours too. It's possible to like create stuff that you won't even imagine. My name is Freddy Diaz. I go by SW Freddy. I am a muralist, artist, graffiti artist from Southwest Detroit, and I just love what I do. One of the biggest inspirations to my style has been my origin in graffiti. I grew up doing it since I was a teenager. I want to say graffiti, lowriding, and breakdancing were like the big things that were big in Southwest when I was a kid, and I always took upon graffiti, seeing it on trains, seeing it on underpasses, seeing it all over the city. I think those are like things that kind of influence kind of the things that I create, is like how people kind of perceive it, and just making art for the public. I think that's always one of my biggest things that's been that makes me feel filled and happy, is making stuff that people get to enjoy. Like, I remember we'd go to the supermarket, and like the Mexican supermarkets had like graffiti magazines that were in Mexican graffiti, and I'd beg my mom, like, Mom, let me get this magazine. And so and then there was this other one called Lowrider Arte. So that's how lowriding scene kind of went hand in hand with graffiti, because those were the magazines that were getting pushed out that had artwork as a reference. I would just buy tracing paper, and I would literally try to like trace the artwork on the magazines, and like literally try to like practice and like see if I can do it. And so I felt like it was a perfect city. Detroit was like one of the perfect cities to do graffiti in, because everything was abandoned. We had the train station, we had the Packard plant, we had the Boblo building. All these places were like places where like you could go practice and like nobody would mess with you, and it was like a safe haven for like us as kids. I felt like graffiti in a sense kind of saved my life because it kept me off the streets. One of the biggest inspirations that I had was Jordan. God rest his soul. He went by the name of Teed, and he was a big graffiti artist contribution to the scene, because he, like the stuff he was doing, like if you ever look at his work, he had like 10, 15 color pieces and just so much style, so much flavor. I felt like he was one of the pioneers in being yourself and like creativity. I felt like nobody was painting like him. He was one of the most creative artists. He told me too, he's like, if you ever want to be a great artist, you got to learn how to master the cheap stuff, and then you will learn to appreciate the good stuff. So now like years later, I have all this paint behind me. People finish the piece and they left scrap cans. I take those things home. Like I remember, like those are things that meant a lot to me. And so it's like, now that I have a whole room, like I don't really like, now I kind of marinate on it, and I'm like, oh my God, like I never envisioned that. And so I'm very like grateful, feel emotional, but bro, like sometimes I can't believe like I get paid and I make a living off the stuff that just comes out of my imagination or like my brain and my hands. Like I think it's a God-given ability, and I sometimes I feel like I take it for granted. Like we don't realize like the things that we're able to create. For me, that to be able to express that and then be able to like get to a place where I make a living full time is just like, it's so amazing. I never did it to make a living, and to have that luxury is like, very, very grateful. And I think it just continues to motivate me to want to continue to be myself and to encourage others to want to do this, be themselves as well. I think for any artist that's trying to share their unique voice, I think the most important thing is to stick to your style, stick to your craft, always be open-minded to changes and improving, but also understand that like the more you make the art you want to make, the more you're going to attract the people that want to buy it, that want to support you. The sooner you realize that that it's easier to be you, you're gonna attract, the law of attraction is so real. You're gonna attract the projects, the people that like your style. Just like this project that I attracted, that hired me to work with them, BREEZE Canna, when they first came down and sat with me, they said, hey, this is what we like. They literally showed me, these are the pieces that we really like that you've been doing. Could you do something like that for us? And that for me was like the total like definition of like satisfaction as an artist, because it means that like the stuff that I'm making people like. And so don't get caught up if people don't like your work either. There's gonna be moments that you know, like trends and like, you know, music, it's not always in style yet, you know, but that doesn't mean it's not good. And you're only weeding out the people that you don't like your work. You're only weeding out the people that will, you know, appreciate it. And I think, you know, everybody belongs somewhere. So don't get caught up in like not having success right away. I think the phrase easy to be you is a big part of how I live as an artist. I think that you have to stay true to yourself. I think it's the best thing you can do. I think I had a teacher one time that told me that if me and you took the exact same camera and stood in this exact same spot and we took the picture, our pictures would look different. Like, that authenticity is very important. When you have that like refresher or that reminder that it's easy to be you, it's a good way to live. It's like a motto, and I think I really appreciate that BREEZE creates this incorporates this in their branding, because I think it's a unique way that we can all kind of like identify with each other and not have to feel like I have to be like you or you have to be like me, and we all can still learn to appreciate each other and help each other, educate each other, and love each other. So the legacy I want to leave behind is, I think I'm very big on longevity. I want to coexist the same way that any other artist has, and I want to show, more importantly, artists in Southwest Detroit, or in just all artists in general that are just starting out. You don't have to have resources, although it does help to be yourself. And I want to just be the proof of that. And I just want to be that reference. I don't really have any kind of other expectations out of my career. I'm very just grateful to be able to wake up and do what I love. Like, I don't take it for granted. I think that's the biggest blessing that I have in my life, aside of like, you know, having a partner and being loved, and like that like personal layer of a life. Art saved my life, and I feel like showing people that it can save yours too, and it doesn't have to be art. It could be any creative. As long as you have it, you can, and you follow it, you can, you know, I want to be able to show them that it's possible to make a living, and it's possible to like create stuff that you won't even imagine. And I get overwhelmed at the stuff that I've been able to do. So like, I just want to give people that reference.